All right, so all right there's where the magic happens. Hi guys, it's Josh from Ohio Off-Road. We got a pretty involved test today. I got to rip out the air locker and the 14 bolt. And it is middle of January in Northeast Ohio. And it's actually a nice day, so I'm going to take advantage of it. Right now, it is 56 degrees. So that is going to be awesome. It's going to get a high to 68, so we're talking record temperatures. So we're going to take advantage of this nice weather. All right, so I got to go move the daily driver to get the Jeep out of the garage. All right, daily's moved. Let's open up the garage door. And welcome to the world's smallest garage for a 1-ton Jeep on 40s. So, gotta go get the parts in the house. Oh, there's the one doggo. There's the other doggo. Those Brutus and Willie. Here's the parts. So I'm just taking these two little boxes. Those two big boxes are gonna be for another video. So stay tuned, keep paying attention. And yeah, that's all he does is just bark all the freaking time. All right. Got the parts. Now, just gotta get in the Jeep. I don't know who makes Jeeps so tall. So, got the parts. Now we gotta make the long journey to my mom's house. So we are here. Yes, I do live 5 houses down the road from my mom's. Gotta take the first car out of here. Truck's out. Let's go get the car. Alright, ready to jack it up and do some work. Time to take the tires off. So right now I'm gonna take the diff cover completely off. And one tip for everybody is when you're taking your diff cover off, leave that very top bolt right there, leave that on. That way you can crank it open so you can just let it drain there for a little bit. So I'm just gonna take the last bolt out. Alright, so all right there is where the magic happens. So what I'm gonna have to do now, I gotta get that whole differential completely out of there, and I gotta replace the outside seals on the locker and fix the copper line that I snapped off. So we got all those parts ready, so I just have to get to work and get everything done. Okay, to take a quick look back, the reason why that copper line broke was I had to take it out a couple weeks ago to replace the internal seal on the ARB locker, because that one, we might have had the locker in the Jeep for 6 months and that went. So I had to take it all out, replace that. Here's a little quick picture of what it looked like when we had to completely crack that locker open. So that is why the copper line broke and all the problems happened. Right, so I just got the bearings caps off. And when you take those off, you want to put them back the exact same spot that they came off, so keep them right side and left side and up and down. So right now, the good thing about the 14 bolts is they have these little screws. I don't know what the technical term is for them, but there's these little screws that you just screw them out and screw them in, and that's what sets your, you know, how close your ring gear and everything is to your pinion. So they're pretty nice to work on. So I'm just gonna unscrew that one. I'm just gonna unscrew the one side. That way when I go to put everything back in and fully assembled, all I have to do is just screw this side all the way out until it can't go anymore. And then we know we're in the right area. Right there's a reason. There's probably a proper tool to use for these, but that's also Pittsburgh Tools or Harbor Freight for you. Oh, it's so heavy. We got the ring gear differential locker all out. It's all right there. It is extremely heavy, and I hate doing this just because how heavy it is. So as you see, it's completely empty in there. So now I get to take it to the workbench. Now I have to pull this bearing off to get to this piece, because that's going to be one of the pieces I have to replace. Let's get this over to the workbench. Hopefully. I don't know why they gotta make them so heavy. Then I can really show you guys what happened to the locker and why it's not working. All right, here's one of the important parts. So what we have here is our ARB seal housing and our O-rings to go with it. What we have here is our bulkhead fitting. So here's another tip for you guys. When buying these, they seem to break a lot. That's why I didn't have an air locker. It's because I broke the bulkhead fitting, and in the process I broke this copper line. So these are 10 or 12 bucks. You can get them online. My tip, buy spares, because the worst thing that happens is when you're working on it, you break it, you can't find it anywhere, then you have to wait a week until it comes in. So Jeep can be down for a week. You can miss some wheeling trips or go wheeling without a working rear locker. And another thing to buy when you're working on these 14 bolts is, give a little shout out to those guys. Not sponsored, they just ship their stuff really fast. Is some additional O-rings, because what happens, we got the seal housing came with a set already, but when you're forcing this thing on the locker itself, these little O-rings, you cut them. So I don't know why. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I've gone through quite a lot of these just trying to get everything set and put on. So time to pull this. We got to take the whole bearings right off the housing or the air locker. So we're gonna do that next. I got a nice little tool that will just pop it right off, and then we should be able to reuse it. And then we'll take that seal housing completely off that broke. As you can see, there is no copper line coming out of there anymore. Right there. So we broke that. First off, if you guys do a lot of stuff with your gearing and stuff like that, get one of these tools. It's just a bearing puller. I think it's the best one out there on the market. I can leave the link below or whatever in the thing, or you guys can ask me questions if you guys want to know what it is. But I think Yukon Gear and Axle makes it. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I pulled the seal up just a little bit so I can get the bearing puller on it. So now I got the bearing puller all set up on the actual bearing, so I'm just gonna screw this down and pull it out. And there you have it. No more bearing on it. That's how easy these things are and how nice they work. And then the bearing's gonna be inside there, and it shouldn't have any kind of issue, so I'll be able to reuse it. So that saves, you know, 20 bucks or so. And that's the bearing. No problem with it. I just got some paint on there I need to take off from the bearing puller. So that's it. Now I can reuse it, throw it back in, call it a day. Now I'm just going to take this O-ring housing right off, and see, it just comes right off. And you guys see again, no copper tube as opposed to the new one. So that's a big problem. I did see some people do some soldering on that copper tube. They just took the old copper tube and soldered it back on. But for me, I don't really want to be back in there. So it's just, for me, it's just a little bit easier to spend the money, and so I don't have to really worry about it. So what I just did is I grabbed these O-rings. So I have 2 sets in there, and what you want to do is just let them soak in some gear oil for a while and lube it up, and then it's just going to sit right inside these little rings right there, if you guys can see them. So it just sits right inside there, and then all I have to do is just press it on. Hopefully just press it on, hopefully it's that simple, and just assemble everything all back up, and then I should have a working locker again. So I'm just gonna let these sit for a while, 10 minutes or so, just get them real nice and lubricated for us. All right, so we just had an O-ring sitting in the gear fluid for 15 minutes or so. I'm just gonna get these out of the bag and set them in these little ridges for the seal housing. So get these out. And this is where the job starts to get messy. So with this stuff, just remember, just take your time, try to get it right. That's always, I understand, it's always easier said than done, because I get frustrated pretty easily. Alright, so after you're looking at it, just go ahead and make sure those seated in there pretty good. So all I'm going to do is just dip my finger in the gear fluid and give this one more quick coating. So just coat it one more time so it hopefully slides on there a little bit better, because it's, like I said before, it's an absolute pain to get this on. Alright, so now we're just going to, they say in the instructions, just slowly press down on it and twist. So that's what we're gonna do. Alright, so just seat it. How I just seat it seems like it's pretty good, actually. We'll just show you guys. So it looks like it's seated really well. I do not see any O-rings sticking up, and you can see how it just twists right on those O-rings. But what I'm gonna do real fast is, just to make sure there's not a leak, is I'm just gonna blow into this copper line, and if there's a leak, we should be able to hear it. So it seems like it's seated perfectly. Now we just have to go press the old bearing back on it and slide it in, and then we're gonna have to trim our copper line to length when we get it in the housing, and we're good to go. All right, so what we're doing now is just pressing that bearing back on. So just want to go nice and easy with it. Make sure you're not putting it on crooked. All right, and right now we have a pressed on bearing. Everything looks fine with it. So we're good to go. So now we just gotta throw it back under the Jeep. So now that we have everything together, we got the new seal housing on with the copper line. We got the bearing pressed back on. All we have to do now is throw it back in there, get this line cut to length, and then put it all back together and call it a day. The thing that sucks, because how heavy this thing is, it is an absolute pain to pick it up and slide it in there. So enjoy it. So I can get a 14 bolt, it'd be fun. It's at least resting in there under its own weight, so I can take a break. So now I just gotta keep pushing it up. Now it's up. And now I just have to turn those keys again. So I'm just tightening that keyway back down, or those rings back down, so it holds it in there. We get the proper backlash and everything else good with it. Oh, don't want to do that. And once you get some tension on there, it'll hold itself in there. Just take your time with it, keep going. All right, so right now we have tension on it, so we're pretty good. So it's, you see it's just holding itself in there. So right now I'm just gonna take the caps, make sure they're clean before you put them in there. I'm gonna take these, just throw one of them in there so it just doesn't fall out. Seems to work pretty well. All right, so I got the one cap on. Now you just have to play around with the copper line and get it situated and cut right. Okay, so what I'm actually gonna do, I'm gonna put the other cap on the other side too, since it has this keyway right there. And what the keyway does is it'll slide right into the slot where the ARB seal housing goes, so it will stop it from rotating, so we can get a better look on it. So yeah, you see right there where it slides into that slot right next to the copper line, so then it holds that in place so it doesn't rotate. Okay, so right now I kind of have an idea of how much line I need, so I'm just gonna take a little pipe cutter and put it on there, wrap it around and spin it off. All right, so we have it off. When you do it, just make sure you don't collapse it completely down. So you still want that hole where air can travel through it. So we're good. Okay, so now we gotta set up the bulkhead fittings, or the bulkhead fitting. And what I use this Teflon tape for it. Just help seal it up a little bit better. So we're gonna get this all figured out, put together with the line. So right now we got everything in place, got the copper line ran out. So everything's just about done. All I need to do is just torque these caps down to 135 foot-pounds.
There you go.
All right, so we just got all the caps torqued down, so those are good to go. Also, it sucks doing it. A lot of this stuff just sucks. It's a lot of hard work, and when you're laying on the ground this far down, it's hard to get leverage to torque it 135 foot-pounds. So now I'm just gonna button it all up, and we're done. All right, so we just got done with the locker in the rear. It works, no leaks. You can hear it lock up and lock out and everything. So we're good to go with the locker. So hopefully the next trail out we'll be able to make it up. Next, we're gonna do axle shafts upgrade to the front. So what I got at the house right now is axle shafts with a 1550 U-joint instead of the 1480 U-joint that comes stock on these axles. So that's gonna be our next little upgrade. It might be a while till I get to that point, because I don't really care that the axles work right now. So when I break them again is when I'll put those other shafts in there. So I'll keep those shafts on the trail with me at all times in case we do pop a U-joint or pop an axle shaft. So stay tuned, more exciting things to come. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.